much to the program director, ke lebise tlhompho go baruti, matsiso go ba lelapa, ke dumedise ketapele ya mokgatlo wa setšhaba, e etelletswe pele ke Deputy Secretary General Cde Aubrey. Program Director, I am acutely aware of your time constraints. And yes, I had prepared a speech, but in deference to your time, allow me not to read the speech. I'll share it with the family. In that way, it would allow our leader to speak to us, the Deputy Secretary General. Safe to say that when I received a message forwarded to me, and I can't say it verbatim, the message read something like, "My children are adopted, Aubrey is no more." One could only feel the pain of a mother, Osmali, and could imagine the pain of the children in losing their father. COVID has had a devastating impact on society in a way that, in fact, pain is numbing. It can't be that, in fact, we live in a society where every day you receive a message of a person that you knew that has passed on. It can't be that, in fact, you spend a Friday evening deciding which funeral am I going to attend. Am I going to bury Dr. Abin Komo? Am I going to bury Bra Ops? Am I going to bury Cecil Mabiletsa? Am I going to bury Chris Ngobo? Am I going to bury Kehlam Tem? You almost get to be relieved when you are sent to a funeral because the leadership says, well, we think that you should go there because, in fact, all these people you knew very well and have fond memories of. The scars are deep. We have lost loved ones, and we've had to live in an environment where you check your oximeter, oxygen, and temperature, and you get regular messages. I had to leave home because everybody was infected. So every morning, you check your oxygen. So you live in a house where 8 people have tested positive. So they check your oxygen. Temperature. If it's too high, what do we do? So the emotional scars are just too many. The psychological impact on us as a society is unimaginable. We're going to have to heal, and we're going to have to work with each other in the healing process. As the program director Julie instructed, let me take this opportunity to invite to the podium our Deputy Secretary General, Cde Aubrey, who in her own right worked very closely with Bra Ops, Deputy Secretary.
The leadership of the AME Church, my sister and friend, Comrade Mali, Naledi and Mandela. On behalf of the African National Congress, I'd also like to greet all of you who are here today, including Jabu, my big brother, some way, and say that on behalf of the ANC, we would like to convey our heartfelt and sincere condolences to all of you, but especially to Sister Mali and the children. This loss is not a loss that is easy for any of us. It will take us many, many years to undo the pain that COVID-19 has inflicted on all our families. It is difficult. And we are losing fine revolutionaries and stalwarts from our Congress, whom we are supposed to be turning to for their timeless wisdom and strength during this period, when we are going through a particularly challenging period in our movement. Yes, I did work with Comrade Aubrey, and I'll only say one anecdote with you. There are many. But in 1983, we were sent, Comrade Aubrey had just finished his banning order, and we were sent to Daytonville together. And there was violence there. Comrade Aubrey drove like a madman, fast. There was just no stop streets, no robots, no white lines, no nothing. There was just the road, and I held on tight to my seat until we got there. Very scared more scared of being in that car with Bra Obs than actually going to face what we were going to face where we were being sent. But I must say to you that in that day, I realized the heart of this human being called Aubrey Mokoena. A young child had been shot with a rubber bullet which penetrated the front of his head. And as we came towards the stadium where things were not very good, one woman called out and said, "This child is dying." Comrade Aubrey did not hesitate. He got out of the car, lifted the child into the back seat of the car, and we went looking for the first clinic we could find to help this child. So whatever we were sent for was secondary to the life of a human being. And I think that for me was his remarkableness, was his love for human life and his respect for the dignity of every human being. And Comrade Aubrey, as Sister Mali says, had no time and patience for ageism or racism. Even though all of us, I must say, came from the Black consciousness movement. Today in the ANC, people don't want to admit that. But in fact, all of us, we did. And we evolved into the ANC when we began to understand how much broader our movement had to be and how we had to bring about a South African nation. Now, the UDF was a place where over 700 community organizations were formed. I'm not going to mention them all. And we all had different tasks to do. But the one glue that somehow pulled us all together was the Release Mandela campaign. Because it was a campaign above all other campaigns. We were involved in the Anti-President's Council. By the way, Comrade Aubrey was at the launch of the anti-PC, worked very closely with Professor Mohammed, Elaine and Jenny Mohammed, myself, Jesse Turton, and many other people. And Comrade Aubrey was one of those activists who broke the idea that you work in your own racial community. We all worked wherever anyone lived. And so we became a non-racial activist forum. And that's what the UDF did, was to break racism even amongst ourselves. We learned to understand each other as human beings, and we learned to give each other that support that human beings give to each other, irrespective of your race, your color, your religion, or your creed. I also have a speech, so I'm not going to be able to read my speech because I'm so scared of Comrade Uhuru can deal with me. But I do want to say this to you. At the moment, we are going through a period where, again, we have to learn lessons. And the critical lesson we must learn is that the inequality in our country is not going to go away magically. We have to have a conversation which is different from all the conversations which have, and which must make us uncomfortable. We have to have an uncomfortable conversation, all of us, about where our nation is at this moment. Of course, we know that the violence and the looting was sparked by a particular event, but it grew into something completely different. And that something different is what must open our eyes. The inherent, almost racial fights that are beginning to take place. But at the same time, that wonderful South African spirit of cleaning up our country and restoring it back to order is also emerging. I was able to call people in 2 communities and say, look, can you guys go and defend malls? First, I got a very strange answer. Well, we must do what? I said, defend those malls. That is the infrastructure that serves the black people of our country. And that is what's being destroyed. Infrastructure that services us is being burnt, is being destroyed, is being looted. And I must say that I am hugely impressed, Comrade Uhuru, with a young group in Soweto called the Soweto Parliament. I don't know if we've made contact, Comrade Parks, with these young people. But he puts out a statement in which he says, everyone in Soweto is equal. No one will be looting here because we are all equal, we are one community, and we are going to defend ourselves. I think that we are at a point now where we need to reinvent, beyond the branch of the ANC, an outward look towards all the people. Because we cannot claim to be the leaders of society when we're not leading everyone in society. And that is what Aubrey Mokoena taught us. I will end off just by saying this. You see, I think when I met Aubrey, I was just 30. Can you imagine? I was young. And whatever he said, we used to hang on to his words, follow him around. And he did something so wonderful. He would explain, he would start singing Senzenina, and in between singing, he would talk. And then he would raise the octave of Senzenina, 1 octave higher at a time. And then he would talk again. But in the meantime, everybody else would quietly be humming and singing Senzenina in the background, while Aubrey Ob's voice would ring out. Mandela will be walking the streets of Johannesburg. Mandela will be walking the streets of Pretoria. The leadership will be free soon. And you know, we knew it so well, we would actually recite it with him. This was a wonderful comrade. His lessons are that 10% of the world's economy cannot control 90% of the lives of the people. We have to turn that around. We have to change the structure of the economy in our country, and we have to listen to the youth. Comrade Aubrey was passionate about education. Really, really passionate. He served with me on a school, not a school, but a scholarship organization run by the Reverend Bayers Nodia. We were the board. We had to raise money and make sure it got to the right people. And the point was that, yes, we've done very well. Over 35 billion rand from 400 million rand in the budget is being spent on education in our country. It's a huge success story. But the fact of the matter is, we have to create jobs for all those graduates that we are turning out of universities. And that should be the legacy that Aubrey Mokwena's name must be remembered by. He always spoke about education. First, he spoke about release of all political prisoners, release of detainees, and then education would be the next thing. I would like to end there and say to the family, we've all had losses, Sister Mali. Mohammed's grandson died a week ago, Adam. We've lost 3 brothers and Adam. COVID has taken a lot from all of us. The only way we can defeat this beast, this monster, is by actually becoming a major disciplined nation and making sure that we don't spread this disease. So I would like to do what Aubrey did very well and say, Amandla.
Thank you very much, Comrade Jesse, our leader, and thank you very much, Comrade Mpo Tau, for those remarks. Osmali, you will get the speech from the Deputy Secretary General, Mandela. So that speech is like a SG. There is a book that your dad was writing. Osmali has already given a foreword. She already, written a foreword for it. What she was presenting here was a foreword to that book. So you and Naledi will have to continue to conclude that project. There's a adopted son by the name Sepamandla. He's sitting over there. Yes, Sepa? Yes. He really has taken care of Bra Aubrey in his twilights. And I wanted to move to please. Just 1 minute. 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Spamandla. One minute. Yeah? Okay. So that you can hear.
Yes, yes. Cardinal of the Church, Umamu Mali Mokoena, ibandla lonke Nkosi lesonto nezikhulu ze-ANC. Nkosi yami ngithi ngiphakamele nje ukubonga unduna into angenzela wena emhlabeni. Unduna wangithatha ngapha emgwaqeni waseBramfontein, wangithatha ilicense, wangithatha wathi ngihamba wangifaka emsebenzini eSocialburg, ngasebenza nabafundisi naba ofakazi bami. Unduna uye yedwa nje umuntu engambona emhlabeni wangenzela isimangaliso. Akekho umuntu engambona ofana noNduna. So ngithi ngiphakame ngisho ngithi Nduna ulale kahle la ukhona. Nkosi yami akekho umuntu engiyophinda ngimthole ofana nawe. Ubaba, ubumama, ubuyonke into kimi. Nduna.
Raleboga Sapa. Raleboga Sepamandla. We have now reached the stage where we have to hand over Aubrey Aubrey to Mokoena, to the church. Aubrey Aubrey, we hand you over to your house.
Amen.
There is a reverend. We'll take care of you from here until your resting place. Thank you very much. Sweet. Thank you.
Masibonga kakhulu Comrade Kuhuru, the ANC. Everybody has spoken about what you've said. We know it in this church. Spamandla kusekhaya la. Unduna uhambile kodwa ukushiye ngekhaya la. You've got the fathers and the mothers here. Uma kubanzima, knock at this home, Spamandla. This is your home. Sikubanga le ndlela ke because of our time. Ngizocela ke ubaba ke
Evangelist Cde, alandele Brother Martin, umasicula ingoma number 5, uNoyahana 1 or 2 verses Magazi, baze balandelana boyi-2. Oh, I'm going home. Batkalayo.
Thank you very much to the co-program directors. Greetings to His Eminence, Dr. T.V. Kumalo and Mother Cardinal V.N. Kumalo. Greetings to the family. Greetings to the leadership of ANC. And greetings to everybody who's here. The song that we've just sung, Brother Aubrey Mokoena, Bra Ops, used to sing the song every time he's asked to stand up and speak in the church funerals. Now we are singing it for him to say, Bra Ops, you have gone home to die no more. To the family, we wish to say to you, quoting the sermon of Jesus on the mountain, Matthew chapter 5, verse 4, where Jesus says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." We are saying today, the Mokwena's family is blessed because all of us who are here are consoling them. Bra Ops, when my relationship with him started, I was 19 years old and he was 50 years. I'm 28 years in this church, AME Church Africa. I started at Sunday school. I was coming from the mother church, AME, when I joined in 1993 this church. And I was in the Sunday school. We had 3 classes, the junior and the intermediate and the senior. Because of my age when I came, I was in the senior class. And in 1994, we graduated. 95, I became a Sunday school teacher. I think that's when Brother Aubrey Mokoena identified a potential in me. And I can tell you, when I was 19, Brother Ops said to me one Sunday, "What are you going to do after church service?" I said, "No, I'm going home and relax." He then said, "No, I must take you for a few hours." That's how our relationship started. He took me out for lunch, and after lunch, you know, the 3 hours we spent, after eating, we were reading the Bible. We were also planning church work. Then every week from that day, weekly we would have such moments with Bra Ops where we plan. And Ops taught me that everything that we were doing for the church, because he contributed a lot for this church. Africa wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for him. He taught me that you should never thank me, because whatever that has happened is through God's grace and power. So give thanks to God, not me as an individual. That's pra-ops. So I then said, no, next time when I want to thank him, I'll use these words. Then I would say, pra-ops, we thank you for allowing God to use you to do his work. And he would accept it. You know, pra-ops, okay, yeah, because of time, I would speak, yeah, but because of time, I just want to say, pra-ops, go well. All the teachings, we will make sure that we pass them on to other reliable men and women in this church. God be with you till we meet again. Thanks.
Just 1 minute. Summarize, please. The people must give us a sentence.
Thank you, Ndate Mjigelizo. Mani timaning ya Mareka 7. Hona le timana mole e ring. O entse tsotlhe hantle. Now, all what has been said, ka Ntate Mokoena, we as a church, we want to say, Robala ka khotso, Morwa Mokoena, because tsotlhe o di entse ka mafolofolo, ka boinehelo bo makatsang. Le setlhabelo sa hao ka bowena, we are saying to you, re leboha Modimo, ha o kile wa ba leloko la kereke yena. And le teng wana wa bontsha hore you don't just become a member of a church. When you are a member of a church, you must have a purpose in the church. And you showed ka hore hati mana irerata wa heno jwalo ka o ithata o lo a bonahatsa ka hare ho kereke. Wana wa bonahatsa hore o rata Modimo ka mmele, pelo le moya. Hobaneng dikopanong tsohle tse ntseng di buiwa mona, di-meeting, di-rally tsa ANC, o ne o tseba hore ha o ne o nyorilwe moyeng, ho ne ho na le sediba, so o ne o nwa ho sona. Ke ka hoo o bileng wa ba le matla, hobane ka nako tsohle o ne o tseba hore Modimo o a phela. Ene ka yena mosebetsi yohle o ne o etsang o ile wa bana le tswelopele e matla. Ke ka hoo dipuo kaofela tse di buehang mona e ne se wena fela, but e ne e le ka tataiso ya Modimo, hobane o ne o tseba hore le ha nka kena fela 5 minutes ka hare ho kereke ke tswa dikopanong, Modimo ke yena ya ntsamaisang. Ya leboha.
Siyabulela kakhulu. Sicela usiyadumisa ngoku. Can we cut it mhlambe ukuthi Nthembe on the last part, then sicele umuntu oceleliwe family azofunda obituary before the bishop speaks. Whoever is asked, for a son or daughter here, who must come and read the obituary quickly, then we do the sermon. Cela wonke umuntu ahambe ngeenyawo, wonke umuntu ahambe except the family. We hum him as he reads. Cela wonke umuntu ahambe ngeenyawo except the family. We hum the sing, then we know what to do.
Thank you, Baruti. Aubrey Mokoena was born in Orlando West, Johannesburg in 1948, to Stephen and Rosetta Mokoena. But due to his mother's bad health, he was brought up by a family friend, Mrs. Anna Home. Even though his parents were unhappy to move to Johannesburg, they were forced to do so to look for work. They would almost every year undertake trips to Free State to visit the graves of his relatives. Although it was quite easy for the Mokoenas to find work, like most black families, they found it more difficult to find a family home in Johannesburg until James Mpanza, a community leader who had taken over a piece of land next to Orlando, where he provided land for the homelessness. The government eventually extended Orlando West into the area, and it became Soweto. He was also a strong Christian and a member of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, where his wife joined the Mothers Union. Aubrey Mokoena was introduced to politics by his father at the age of 12, who got involved with the African National Congress, the ANC, although it was critical of Mpanza. He learned about the potato boycott from his father, and from then on, potatoes were not eaten in either the Mokoena or the Khumu households. It was also in this year that the ANC and the Pan-Africanist Congress, PAC, were banned. In the Khumu house, he was taught the value of education, and he developed a very close bond with his adoptive mother. He remembers how one day they were suddenly no longer provided with the meals at school, and how slogans about Bantu education were painted on walls. One day, members of the ANC came to visit the school and said that a boycott should be started. Mokoena was very unhappy about this, as was Anna Khomo. But his father, who was a branch organizer in the ANC, told him they must do something to get an equal education. While Stephen Mokoena made his son politically aware, Anna Khomo continued to insist that he continue his education. He completed school at Orlando North High with contemporary Lindelwa Mabandla under Principal Mbatane, where he became head prefect in his last year. When he was finished school in 1969, he wanted to go to university but could not afford the fees. He was able to get a teaching job at his old school, Orlando North in Mzimhlope, where he taught with O'Hara Diseko. In 1970, through a bursary awarded by African Teachers Association bursary, was able to enroll at University of the North, popularly known as Tarflop. At the university, he founded the university choir and was chairman of the student Christian movement. In 1972, he was elected vice president of the SRC alongside Cde Aubrey, who became president. He was later elected chairman of the local South African student organization, SASO, and thus was part of the South African Student Organization executive that became very involved in resistance politics, and particularly the black conscious ideas of black power. The same year, as president of the SRC, Tiro gave the graduation speech, which led to his expulsion from the university. The student began to protest, and the university reacted by expelling the entire student body. After a month, the university invited students, telling them to re-register, however, refused to register the SRC members and instead expelled them and 9 other activists. This led to student strikes and protests at other universities across the country, and more students were expelled from Fort Hare and Durban Westville. This action led to reawakening of political activity and the formation of the Black People's Convention, BPC, and the Black Communities Program, of which Mokoena became a member. At the insistence of Anna Khomo, Mokoena enrolled at UNISA to continue his degree and got a job heading the Transvaal section of the Black Community Program. From here, he was able to help his community and develop and spread his political ideas. Although the government became concerned about the project, it did not attack the organization directly. It did, however, use other means of attack until 1974. When SASO organized Frelimo rallies with the independence of Mozambique, the government banned SASO rallies despite not going on with the rally in Johannesburg in the anti-cameral parliament campaign. He was again arrested, charged with treason in Pietermaritzburg treason trial, from which he was acquitted. He continued again in 1986, following the state of emergency that was declared in 1985. On release, he was once again banned, continued of political leaders through the Release Mandela campaign, which became his platform, working alongside Mama Winnie Mandela, Mam Greta Nxapai, Ntate Matthews, and others. He was a leading force in assisting with the first group of political leaders that were released in 1989, including Walter Sisulu, Govan Mbeki, Wilton Mkwai, Elias Mtswaledi, and others. After the unbanning of the liberation movement, the release of Nelson Mandela in 1990 and the election of 1994, Aubrey Mokoena was appointed of the first parliament, where he served as the chairperson of the committees for environmental affairs and for public enterprises. He surprised the Mali Mokoena, his son Mandela and daughter Naledina, his nieces, nephews, and loving relatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's do the scripture reading as the bishop go to the podium. Scripture reading. The bishop takes over.
Isifundo sethu sanamhlanje sisifumana kwincwadi yokugqibela, incwadi yesithilelo, isahluko ngamashumi 20. Thenulo khawulo ke amashumi 20. The book of Revelations, chapter 20. Sizawufunda iverses bembini. Ivesi yeshumi 12. Sibuye siye kwivesi yeshumi 15. Revelations chapter 20, verses 12 and 15. Yona efundeka ngoluhlobo. Ukukhululwa kukaSathane nemfazwe yokugqibela. Verse 12. Ndabona abafileyo, abancinane nabakhulu, bemi phambi koThixo. Zavulwa incwadi, kwavulwa nenye incwadi eyobomi. Bagwetywa abafileyo ngokubhaliweyo ezincwadini ezo ngokemisebenzi yabo. Verse 15. Wathi ongafunyanwanga ebhaliwe encwadini yobomi, waphoswa edikeni lomlilo. Isifundo sethu siphele lapho, kwanga uThixo ngathamsanqelisa ukufunda kwezwi lakhe ngoku nangona phakade. Amen.
Aliko igama elihle njengalo, o aliko igama masivala amehlo. Baba, egameni lenkosi yethu Yesu Kristu, uNkulunkulu onamandla onke, wena ongahlulwa lutho. Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, sibopha amandla obumnyama, amandla kaSathana wanasabelo kule ndawo. Ngoyengcwele sicela ukuzwa wena uqobo lwakho ukukhuluma nempilo zethu. uNkulunkulu onamandla onke, izwi lakho liyaphila, izwi lakho liphuma libuye lingenzanga umsebenzi. uNkulunkulu onamandla onke, siyehla thina ukuze uphakame wena. Modimo wa rona re leboha mohau wa hao, ke ka lebaka la mohau wa hao re ntse re phela ka jeno. Ntate, re a ikokobetsa rona hore wena o phahame. Tse tsohle re di kopa ka lebitso le matla, lebitso le sa hlolweng ke letho, lebitso la morena wa rona Jesus Christ. Let the church of say amen. Ngaphandle kokumosha isikhathi, kantle o senya nako
Ake ngiqale ngokubulisa umndeni wakaMokoena.
ake qale ke dumedise lelapa la Mokoena
Ngibulise bonke abaphathi
ke dumedise bohle baetapele
ngokulandelana kwabo
ka ho hlahlamana ha bona
kwi political side na religious side.
ho dipolotiki le sedumeding
Ke kopa ho qala ka hore ho le family ya Mokoena.
cela ukuba ndiqale ngokuthi kusapho la kaMokoena
Alukho lubi eniliyenzile.
ha ona le libi leo le lentseng
Lima emong ana usantse ali modimo.
na kwimeko le esanguthixo
Kana kengwe batho ba ka butsana
ixesha abantu
kuthi yini bokufanele siyenze bengasiza ubomi bakhe.
ke eng e tshwanetse re e etse e ka thusa bophelo ba hae
Impa tse ding tsa dintho di hodimo wa matla rona.
ezinye zezinto zingaphezulu
Paulos o re ha buisana le rona
uPaulos uthi thethisana nathi
qetelong tiyang moreneng le matleng a hae haholo.
womelelana ukuthi
Ena asiyana mali madi.
imfazwe le asiyenyama
All what we see, what is happening ka corona today,
so sibona izakala
those are results of what is happening in dark places.
ngezakala kumeni andikho apho
The scripture responds the book of
incwadi yesilelo
chapter 20.
isahluko seshashumi amabili
Ke rata mang e re,
phanda phaya isithi
and I saw the death, the great and small,
nabona abafika abakhulu nabancikani
standing before bana beso ke kopa ho tjho hore le ha maikutlo wa bona a eme jwang,
bantwana sekhaya ndicela ukutsho bana bamevo wethu ame
empa kaofela batho ba phelang ba ya tseba hore ba tla hlokahala.
abantu bayayazi ukuba abaphilayo
As we are all seated or standing here today,
uyabona zalwa ngapha
kana ke letsatsi la hao lona,
lilanga lakho
letsatsi
lilanga lakho
le ha sa hore le tla tla ka empa o fela ba ha sebetsa a ntsa ba mafulo empa le ya tsiba hore ka letsatsi le leng o tla hlokahala le yena. Ke kopa ho bua taba ke ena. Different types of books are open. But Bible says there was this special book which was opened, and in that special book it was only the names of those who have done a great job. My theme today will say, I know maybe it's something that did not expect. What have you done so far? Bophelong ba hao ha o ntse o wena o entse. Bibele e re Jesu ka letsatsi le leng in the book of Luke chapter 10 e re a kgetha barutwana ba hae ba 72 and he sent them to the world. The Bible says they went to the world, and when they come back, minister, the Bible says they were happy and excited that it master, even the demons are mamela, are recover. And Jesus said, you must not be happy about that. What you need to be happy about, what your names are in the book of life. What will help us to be busy in the world, to do whatever in the world. At the end of the day, our names are not in the book of life. When we work, some people get offended. When we work, oh, can I clarify this? But only to find good God is not pleased about your work. Kurire sigara sebetsa fela.
engavuyisi uthixo ibhayibhile ithi ethixo evuyile ngomsebenzi wethu
Akanwalwa
elisibili
ngahupula mina tshoko.
yakhumbula ingoma esithi ngolomhla
Kanyang libohle
bonke abayisrael
Ribina tupulo.
sivume
Bana beso. Hlokahala. Empa bothata ke gore ha re qeta ho hlokahala e tlo tlohela kae na?
sizovukela phi na
I know ka
yatingelisa
ha re ntse re sebetsa
xa simane sisebenza
re utlwa bohloko.
siva intlungu
Ka nako e nngwe you can help people.
ngeli xesha
Batho ba sa appreciate seo se etsang.
bangabaluvi into yezayo
Batho ba hlolela hore re a leboha. Empa pele e re ho rona seo re se etsang empa re se etsetse Modimo. Mosebetsi yohle a re etsetseng tlhwekiso ya Modimo.
udumiso kathixo
Potso ya ka e ntse e dutse ho nna le
umbuzo
wena.
wemuhleli
Ntate Mokoena has helped many people here.
utata unceda abantu
But the
abaninzi
question is,
kodwa umbuzo
nna le
uthi,
wena,
nawe
how are we
sikude
with the work that is pleasing to God?
ngomsebenzi obalulekiyo kuthixo
Sometimes when we work,
xa sisebenzayo
re Modimo,
sithi sivuyise uthixo
we end up
sigqibela sivimbela abantwana bethu ixesha
Ka
labo
nako e nngwe when we work,
ngelinye ixesha
we
xa
end up
sisebenza,
using the resources tsa bana ba rona.
sisebenza izinto bethu
The resources tsa bana ba rona.
ama-resource
Hallelujah. And only to find ho lelefateo.
sijonge nehlabathi
Ke leboha.
singabuleli
Mara taba ke ena.
kodwa indaba
Qetelong tsohle o di etsetsang Modimo. Modimo
ozenzela uthixo
e re Bibele ha e bua.
ibhayibhile xa ithetha
The book of Galatians chapter 3.
yesikhilelo
Seba unegama lokuthi uyaphila.
waphila kanti
Bana
bekhaya sonke sithi
we are all
senziwe
yenze imisebenzi
siyenzile
emathabeni.
enye uthixo intoni singayenzayo
Enye imisebenzi
kodwa
eminye imisebenzi se etsang re sa Modimo. Hobane ha Modimo a sa wena ba iswa
abula dibuka
bonke abagwinywe ngamanzi,
bohle bafake
bonke
metsi
abasemathuneni
bohle bamabileng
bavuka.
basuka
Ke kopa o correct this thing.
ke kopa ho lokisa ena
I was singing it in one funeral.
ke ile ka bua ka le leng lefung
When you leave, people want to put
Modimo
even in your funeral there was a president. That won't change your destination. If you are still living, that will decide your destination. But will come time. Where the Mamela kill not our people. This church, cardinal, this country, my comrade, will need people who will work hard. People who will work and please the Lord. People work and not hard. But what I do, I forget the past. I press on to fulfill my calling. Hey, but you are healing. Give it to me. Some other people, they don't talk to each other. To fulfill my calling. The gap ya motho a salisiyo ha e bonahale but the more ke tlo re ho lona ke modimo ya tsebang gothika so konke ezesibungu ha di sizinike zeno thixo nako ya ka ifedile jwa kupantswi ana wo qetela hore to the church kwinkonzo it might be a loss but to have it again to the country it might be a loss but to heaven it's a gain to the family it might be a loss impa lehodimong uinzuzo asivale namehlo sithandaza tate re le utlwile tsela hao tate wa rona ka lebitso ha re tlo tloha jwale re kopa wena ya ka sebele o be le rona re fe matla ntate hore qetelo ha re sheba wena re fumana tate. Here's the family re ka lebitso la Jesu Christ Nazareth after the organization re ba fa matla ka lebitso la Jesu Christ Nazareth tsohle di tswa ho wena e re ntse la hao qetelong matla a hla ho wena re fe matla o tswela pele tsena tsohle re di kopa ka lebitso la modimo wa rona le bile matla Jesu Christ wa Nazareth. The Church of God say amen.
But I'll make an announcement on how we come back.
Amen. Amen. Dinengaki my Emi Africa. Asizange emngcwabeni. Dinengaki icula ngathi siyekufeni. Uthi umculo uphilo kuyena fela. Impaba thabathi. But you sing as if rathwana rithi. Dinengaki. Ngicela nje ke sifu le moto ifudumala kancane. Ne 5 minutes before speaking mode. Before nikuqa wami attach over from announcements. Ngicela sis rifuthumata man. Ka re mo lefung. A re ba mo chareng man. Tsoko mo chareng. sifuna ukuthi kwikhaya kaMhlakwana umthi omkhulu uyile. Umthi omkhulu uyile. Umthi omkhulu uyile. Thixo uxolo bena, nsekele. My brother.
Bagolo, announcement here. We're going to lay the mortal remains of our brother Aubrey Mokoena at West Park Cemetery from here. From West Park Cemetery, everybody else but the family is requested to come back to the church. That's where catering will take place. Only the family will go to Cde Mokoena's home for conditions that we all know. Even as we come back, let's just pick up what we to pick up and not do after tears. You know, after tears is not looking after the funeral service, as we now know. After talking, we're going to keep a social distance. No one should be infected by COVID-19 from this service. And we think that God has got mercy on us. Thank you very much.
Bishop,
Rafiki, thank
then Sizopuma, after that the bishop will do the benediction.
Fefel kaThixo dlalwana lothando lomoya engcwele malihlala ngaphansi kwenhliziyo zethu lincambaze kude kube saphakadini saphakadini. Amen.
The family and the salad. The order of going out. This good. About from the first, when the family, the rest is landing. Very good.